Hi everyone. Computer, my camera and my mind. You see how what it's doing to actually study astrology. There's some things that you need your car fixed, you go to a mechanic. You want to know how the energies and the patterns of the cosmos are affecting you, you go to the astrologer. And that's what I'm here to do. If you are interested in a reading, I think it's very, very important. It is a service to yourself, to your family, to your children, to understand your natal blueprint reading and also your child, because it enables you to understand their makeup, helps you to kind of map the different progressions that they'll be going through throughout their lives, helps you to understand if it's not clinical, why they're depressed or they're not feeling well. Medical astrology, there's just so many different avenues that astrology allows you to have a map or a roadmap, essentially, of life. And it is one of the most beneficial things that you could have access to. So it doesn't take a lot of time for you. It takes a lot of time to study astrology and learn it, but it doesn't take a lot of time for you to invest a small amount of money, the cost of a good pair of shoes, to understand who you are, your purpose, your past life issues, why you came here, what kind of proclivities you may have, what kind of patterns you need to overcome in order to evolve into your next phase. Not only you, but your children. Parents, you should know about your children's charts. So I'm just going to mention that. I'll put my details, my email. You can inquire about a reading there. I'm also on Instagram. I'll put a link to that in the info box as well. And let me know, hit me up, guys, if you're interested in understanding more about yourself and the ones that you love. Okay, without further ado. So the video that I did yesterday was really me expressing the pattern and my deciphering of what the planets are speaking to all of us. And not only that, I think even beyond astrology, we can all sense what is happening. We feel it within our bones. Not knowing astrology, there might be a sense of confusion because you can't put your finger on things, but it's very essential that we understand it. And as above affects the below, what is within comes without. Everything just is this cyclical sharing of this soup. And so astrology is, there's an explanation to so many things. And that's what I did yesterday, was I broke down what these type of energies were speaking. I like to try to avoid the language of astrology because not everyone understands those details, and I don't want to overwhelm you with other things. I rather just speak on a natural level and explain it to you in those terms rather than in astrological terms. Today I'm just going to speak a little bit of astrology, but I'm going to try to make it understandable for everyone, okay? The eclipse on August 21st, what is it? First of all, we had the eclipse on the lunar eclipse on August 7th, and that was in the sign of Aquarius. Aquarius and Leo are opposite signs, which means that they imbue the qualities that the other sign does not. They are mirror images of each other, and they can learn many things from each other if they just learn to look at the archetypal patterns of the other sign. We have moved from the axis of Virgo and Pisces into now the axis of Leo and Aquarius. And when we were in the axis of Virgo and Pisces, the overwhelming sensation and understanding that the planets were enabling us to do through the nodes of the moon was to understand how it is that we can inspect things. And once we inspect things, we can now sift out what is the nutritious part of it and what is the excrement. We can clean the bowels. We can clean the sewage systems of our own homes, our own bodies, our own planet, our own nation. And we can also sift through and find out what parts of it are essential to keep. Pisces, on the other hand, the other part of that axis of Virgo and Pisces nodal axis is that Pisces doesn't need to inspect things, because what Pisces does is Pisces has so much faith that it really wants to believe everything, even if it was something that was just passed down to them. They are not going to inspect the data, but they are going to believe the data. They are going to do the rituals and all of those things that make them feel etheric or closer to whatever godship is involved in that type of practice. So whether it's religious, whether it's some type of spiritual belief system, or just believing in another person as though they're like this martyr for you, and you just, you'll let them just step all over you, but you believe in them that they're this great person, but they're showing you all the reasons that they're not behaving well, but you're still holding out faith and hope. That is Pisces. It just believes and it hopes. We went through that period where we believed and we hoped and without the proof. And so when the North Node was in Virgo, the attempt was for us to understand that there is a need to inspect, to decipher, and to categorize what is truth for you and what is not, what is essentially needed and what is not. There is a detoxing and a cleansing process, and through the wisdom of our bodies do the same thing, and it is able to sift out what it does not need and excrete it into the toilet. And so this is what Virgo does. It rules the intestines, and it cleans out what is the excrement, and it saves what it is that is necessary to be used. And then it categorizes that, and it puts names on it. And so that's what collectively all of humanity we were in that phase of the nodal axis, of which Virgo was a very strong theme for us. We were told to inspect the data of all of our existence as far as politics, religion, our families, our lives, our health issues, our animals, our pets, our service to others, how we care for others, nursing others. We were told to inspect all of those different variations and to see where we can improve and discard what is no longer useful. And so we had a necessity to be critical. You see, Virgo has a critical way about them where they are going to, even if it would be painful for someone else to release some of the attachments, Virgo will not. Virgo sees the fault, it says the fault, and it gets rid of the fault. It doesn't want the fault anymore. And so that is what we were told, to have a critical eye on the details. And so we, though, as a collective, we did not want to look at the details. We kind of, as I mentioned in the other video, we photoshopped everything. We tried to beautify ourselves, but it was based on a facade and untruth rather than what was truth. So it was almost as a Piscean energy, I have noticed within the last number of years, that we were really sinking in with. And so because we ignored the sifting of the excrement and the cleansing process and taking what is useful and good and healthy and using a critical eye to get rid of what isn't of service, what isn't good, because of that, in the North Node and South Node nodal axis of Leo and Aquarius, very early on, as of August 7th, we are faced with this issue that we are seeing on the news now. Because Virgo is trying to tell us that historically, when we look through our history, we haven't finished cleaning our bowels out. And we're like, well, you know what? I'm just going to take this painkiller and I'm not going to pay attention to whatever things that were ailing me or giving me pain or bothering me. I'm not going to pay attention to those things. And so, but we were supposed to, because we were in the Virgo critical look and examination of the data, you see? And so because we did not do that, here comes Leo and Aquarius. And Leo and Aquarius is like, okay, how have you been of service to your brother? How have you treated the other man? You want to be a king, but a king should rule over his people with love, and he should want fairness and equality within his kingdom. But no, you decided that whatever ills pained different people, that was their problem, and that was their issue. And even though they told you that they were still in pain and they never received the necessary therapy, you were like, we'll just sweep it under the rug. We'll give them some Photoshop their lives, give them some nice things in their lives, and a nice car, and hopefully it'll all be forgotten. They'll think that they're healed and they're not, and it just doesn't work that way. Because the energies of the planets, when they start moving around, they just begin to trigger what has not been addressed and taken care of. And even if we think the facade of Photoshop has healed us and we have the image of perfection, we're going to know that we are deficient, and we have been deficient in our duties to fully cleanse. And so now we see what is happening on the news. That was August 7th ignited some of that. And we've had a lot of things the last couple of years that have also been a trigger point for this. But now it's starting to escalate. And then we have the elections in November that went on. And that brought up a lot of the excrement that was unaddressed as well. And so now we have August 21st, which is going to be in the sign of Leo, the king. And now the attention will be drawn to Leo, the king, in whatever form we play king, whether we're president, whether we're a boss at our job, whether we're a boss of our own households, whether we're the king of a relationship, whatever format that archetype plays its role in. Now those things will be tested as well and sifted. And if you are not worthy of a kingship or worthy of that honor to be called such, then the energies are going to show you that. And so that is what we are dealing with at this time. Within the last 99 years, we have not had eclipse solely on the United States like we are going to have. So what does that mean in all of this lesson that I've been discussing with you? Virgo, Pisces, Leo, Aquarius, these lessons, what have we learned? Well, we just had an election in November. I wrote a free ebook based on that election and why the stars chose Donald Trump. It's very necessary to understand that detail. That was a very Virgo detail that I applied in that book. And I think it'll give you a lot of clarification and understanding of why things are happening the way that they are today. But we elected, the United States put into leadership a President Donald Trump. The United States with the eclipse on the 21st of August. Here's the United States. All right, don't judge me if I do a horrible picture. But here's the United States, right? And as I mentioned, we haven't had an eclipse solely on the United States in a very long time. And when this eclipse hits, it's going to almost go straight through the United States like, okay, like this. I think like that. Okay? Don't judge me. So it's going to go through the United States, almost cutting it in half. So you're going to have two parts, almost like we see, right? So it's almost as if, as I was saying before, that the United States is being divided by this eclipse on August 21st. And not only is it being divided, you know, in a energetic way from the cosmos, but it also is happening in a literal sense. People are divided by party lines, by race, all of the things that Virgo tried to help us sift through and get rid of that gook from the past. These planets being in retrograde were a revisiting of the past so that we can see the error of our ways, and we never paid attention. When we look at 99 years ago, when the United States was also eclipsed, then we need to look at the history that was going on back then. What was happening that we were being kind of energetically made to focus on. And back then, people were made to focus on a certain topic or for a certain situation that was unfair, but it wasn't the time at that time to address it fully and take care of the trauma. But we've had all of this time, even since then, to now focus on the things and the issues that our society and government has attempted to put away or hide in the closet or ignore or anesthetize or put a Band-Aid on, rather than being Virgo and healing it. And so this eclipse is dividing the country in so many different ways. We are going to find that even people that we once had the same ideas and belief systems with, this time period is making us all sit on different sides of the fence. It's very tumultuous. It's very argumentative. It's agitative. It's bringing up so many different divisions, even within our own households and people's relationships. It's causing a lot of damage. But the reality and the truth is that this is supposed to happen, because we are being Virgoed out, whether we want to or not. We are being sifted through the sewage, and we are being forced now to purge, whether we like it or not. And so it's befitting that we actually have a president that has caused so much controversy at the time of Leo and Aquarius axis being agitated by this eclipse. And so it's just amazing how the timing is always perfect when it comes to especially astrology, because you're able to look at the patterns and really understand the themes of what these energies are actually evoking in all of us. And so this is what is essentially happening with a visual to America. And what is further interesting is that this eclipse is at 28 degrees, 0.53, I think, of the sign of Leo. So Leo, okay? So in the sky, in the constellations, in the cosmos, the area where the Leo constellation is, and Leo is the sun, so it's the bright sun. So now we see the sun and the moon being this new moon is happening. So the sun and the moon are actually conjunct with each other. It's like the king and the queen, the mother and the father, the masculine and the feminine are conjunct in the sky in the constellation of Leo at 28 degrees. And so this is actually the eclipse pattern and where the eclipse is going through. Okay? In addition to that, we're not done, because not only is this the point of agitation, but we also elected a leader in November, and that leader happens to have his body in the sign of Leo, and it happens to be, so there's the writing that I wrote, in the sign of Leo, and it happens to be at 29 degrees of Leo. See that? Our president, Donald Trump's body, the energy on his body happens to be at 29 degrees of Leo. The eclipse in the sign, the solar eclipse in the sign of Leo is at 28 degrees, going through the United States, okay? So that is pointing to the leader or the king of the United States. And so it falling at 28 degrees, and his body having the energetic frequency of 29 degrees, it is obvious that it is agitating him as well. And it is obvious that this is a very not a prophesied, but almost a fortuitous event. Almost like this was kind of fated in his destiny and also America's destiny, for him to be the president at this time of this eclipse. In addition to that, we have a fixed star called Regulus in the constellation of Leo in the sky. And Regulus also sits at 29 degrees. Now, Regulus is the star of royalty, like a king. Donald Trump also has Regulus sitting right on his body as well at 29 degrees. That's where Regulus sits. So imagine in the sign of Leo, the president has 29 degrees on his body. He also has Regulus, which is in the constellation of Leo, at 29 degrees. And our president also has Mars in his zodiac sign, in his 12th house though, but on his body as well. And I believe that is 24 degrees for him, or 26 it might be. It's still pointing to information that we need to understand. This is sloppy, I am sorry. But it's still information that we need to understand, because as I said, this shows to me as an astrologer the fated events of our time period, and how the king that is in question, and whether or not he rules with efficiency or rules with justice and cares for his people. What is his track record from before he was king? What are his karmic debts that he owes? Did he live his life in kindness? Was he good to people? Or was he malevolent with people? Did he steal and did he cheat? Or was he honest in all of his practices? This is essential for us to know, because when we understand what Regulus is, as an astrologer, when we get into the details of Regulus, Regulus happens to be the star of royalty, but not only that, but it'll also judge you to see if you live up to the criteria that is esteemed in this fixed star. And if you do not live up to the criteria that is esteemed in this fixed star of Regulus, then you will be judged in the balance of Libra, okay? And right now, we have Jupiter, which is the planet of justice as well, sitting in the sign of the scales that judges. And so if our president, who is of a royal, fated destiny, if he lived his life in accord with goodness and created good karma for himself, was very fair and balanced in his ways, then the judgment of this eclipse may favor him. But if he was unbalanced in his dealings, was not kind to the little man, did not think of the little man or the others, Aquarius, then he may be judged in whatever way. Perhaps the people won't like him of his kingdom. Perhaps the people of his realm will find that he is unfair, and they will find a way to get him out of office. Perhaps impeachment, perhaps not. It depends on his track record and how this judges him, whether he lives up to the criteria of Regulus. So only time can tell, and that's why we cannot predict the future with astrology, but we can understand the energies, and in retrospect we will see many things. I have my own opinion and thoughts of what I see is the potential for what could happen with our presidency and our country and all of those things. Those are the kinds of things I keep to myself, but we will all see in time what happens. But these are the energies that I just explained to you, and these are the criteria, and they are very, very tantamount to the destiny of the United States and the destiny of our leader, the destiny to our households, husband and wife, king and queen, your children that you reign over, your reign that you reign over, your karma, how good you are, because everything is keeping track. Everything is marked. There is a book. Right? We were told that, right? Well, there is a book that keeps track of everything. And so Regulus will judge based on that book of our king that we elected. One more thing. During the solar eclipse, the planet Mars will be at 20 degrees in Leo, I believe. So then we have the sun at then we have the sun and moon, and then we have, what are the ones are in the sign of Leo? The North Node will be in the sign of Leo, and then we have Mercury, which is retrograde right now, and that's in the sign of that'll be in the sign of Virgo, I think at 8 degrees, okay? And so, again, Virgo is tested again. Even though we're no longer in the North Node of Virgo, we're still having to apply that Virgo back thinking. You see, retrograde Virgo's making us rethink the cleansing process that Virgo attempted to give to us. And so we can see all of the things that are happening on the news and all of this stuff that is going on in the division. And this is the bowels. These are the intestines, and we haven't fully cleaned it. We are detoxing right now. So what will be the end of that detox? Only time will tell. But I hope I explained some of the energies and what is going on. Sorry for my chart here. But take care, guys. Be safe. And if you are in any of the fixed signs, you also may have some effect in your charts that might happen from this eclipse. I'm not saying it's bad stuff. We're going to have good stuff and everything. We kind of all feel what's happening. And some of the mutable signs as well. You might feel some of the occurrences that are happening. If you are within 24 to 29 degrees of like the fixed signs, you might have some kind of effect. But again, stay tuned for August 21st, 2017. It'll take a couple of months sometimes for us to really see the lessons that these cosmological events are conveying to us. But we are waiting and we are patient, and we have to be. Everything is in a standstill. So take care, guys. Be safe, and I will talk to you later. Bye.